All right, my friends, Merry Christmas to you. Aaron here bringing you some honest astrology for December 25th, 2024. Here we are, the day the sun is risen, okay? Sun here at 4 degrees of Capricorn, where it will be every December 25th. Always 4 degrees. Why? I want to show you guys something really cool about the sun's journey. Of course, we had the winter solstice, right? So the sun's journey, the zodiac is flipped. When we see this image, okay, this is the south and this is the north here. So that it's as above, so below. It's like looking into a mirror. It's reversed, okay? So the north, the sun's traveling north, 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 north. And then this would be the summer solstice here. And then the sun travels south, 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 south. We have the winter solstice. And now the sun's coming around again to go north. And I want to show you a really cool, check this out here. All right, this is a cool little video by Robert Quimby. We want to give the proper credits here for this amazing video. This is a 3-year time lapse. I'm going to kind of skip through it. It's only a couple minutes long, 1 minute and 45 seconds long. So this is the sun, okay? The sun is showing us here January 2nd, 2015. Now, that black dot, this is overexposed, so of course the sun is going to show up as this black dot. And now just watch the trajectory of the sun as it moves throughout January, February, March now, April, May, June. Sun's going north, north, north. Oh, okay. That was our right here. This was our summer solstice. The sun moves down, 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 down. And here is our winter solstice. Okay, now this is a 3-year time lapse. So we're going to see this whole event, 2 more times. And it's the exact same trajectory, the exact same path. So it's important to realize here, this is this east and west, the sunrise, sunfall, sunrise, sunfall, sunrise, sunfall. That's east and west. But this north and south stuff, this is the solstice points. They're different points. Let me come back to the zodiac here for a quick second. Okay, east, west, east, west. The sun moves from east to west every single day. Rise, fall, rise, fall, rise, fall. Okay. And it's only at these northern and southern points, now let's come back to this video, where we have this arc, okay? This arc is extremely important because we're looking at, let's continue, hit play again for this last couple seconds while I'm talking here. That arc is extremely important. We don't see that arc on the equinox. We only see this arc right here on June 21st. And here on December 21st. And I'm going to stop it and slow it down here when we get to the winter solstice and kind of try to go a little slower day by day. Okay, pause. December 18th. Let me see if I can go. Oh no. Let me see if I can try to get this back here and show you where the sun is at. Right at the solstice. December 24th. That's fine. That's fine. Let's look at this. Okay, this is extremely important. Extremely important. Let me come back here. Friends, this is so extremely important, okay? Follow with me. Check this out. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so when we have the equinoxes or the east and west rise, the sun's still moving its trajectory north and south. It's really the earth that's going around the sun. Right, for our east and west. It's the earth going around the sun, and it's our perceivable wobble of the earth that is creating this pattern here. The wobble of the earth is what creates this, and this is winter here in North America, and this is summer or the rainy season in South America, where I'm going to be in a few days hanging out with my friends in Peru and my little monkey friends. Very excited for that. So it's if we could draw a line here. Oops. Nah, I did it. There we go. If we could draw a line right here, we understand. Oops, that's my birthday, the 29th. Come on, let's go back just a little bit. We had it just right. That's fine. December 23rd. Okay. So the solstice is on the 21st. Okay, so the solstice is the 21st. The 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, it's all this little arc right here. Dang, I did it again. It's all that little arc right there. Okay. Find this little middle ground. That's fine. This little arc right here. I just can't touch the button. So, perceivably, from our perspective on Earth, because the difference between astrology and astronomy is heliocentric, which means it's sun-centered. But of course, our perspective down here on planet Earth is geocentric, which means it's Earth-centered. So, like the old, the Galileo, that kind of stuff, like the old church people thought that everything revolved around Earth. And it was Galileo that looked up and saw the sunspots, and he saw that the shadows on Venus, okay, that's pretty much how this came to be. The shadows on Venus weren't correlating with the Earth is the center of the universe. And Galileo thought that the sun was the center of the universe, and the Earth was indeed traveling around the sun. Now, the Christian church at the time wanted Galileo to deny his information, to not publicly put that out there. And Galileo said, no, I'm not going to denounce the scientific findings, these facts that we're proven to see. I would rather be arrested and spend the rest of my days in prison, something along these lines, than to have this information be squashed and thrown away. Okay, so Galileo's work was extremely important, and him sticking up for what he believed in to be right and true over the church trying to manipulate him or trying to control the information. Okay, you can look all this stuff up, please. It's extremely important that you do. So the sun is the center of the universe, and Earth simply goes around that. And our wobble is what creates this northern and southern movement of the sun. Or, right, wintertime, summertime, wintertime, summertime for the northern hemisphere. Then it's summertime, wintertime, or rainy season, dry season, rainy season, dry season. And from Earth's perspective, the sun is going south, 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 south. December 21st, it reaches this low point. Then the 23rd, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, while it's coming around this arc, it doesn't appear to be moving further south or further north. Okay, it's just that little arc right there for 3 days. Those 3 days are extremely important because the sun dies for 3 days and rises once again north on December 25th. And if we go back to our chart here, the sun dies here on the winter solstice. 3 days, December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, or December 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. So it's at 1, 2, and 3 degrees of Capricorn. Then on the 4th, the scapegoat of Israel is born. Okay, the sun is born. The sun that lights the world, whose reflection walks on water, is born. And more light is being shown in the northern hemisphere every single day from here on out until we reach the equinox. Okay, the spring equinox, which means the sun is now moving past the equator, and we're going to have more light in the northern hemisphere than the southern hemisphere. Well, right now we have more light in the southern hemisphere than the northern hemisphere. Okay, I want to show you something. What is this? These are clocks. And we understand what this is. It's a clock. It represents time. But what does this clock really represent? And it's 12 hours. Okay. The 12 signs of the zodiac and the sun moving through those 12 spaces. Well, the 12 hours of the zodiac, we get it. The 12 hours of the day. Okay. Now let's look at this. This is a calendar. Okay. What does this calendar? If we just look at technology, we will lose the fact that we're talking about, where did we go here? This, right? This is the calendar, okay? This is showing us our calendar. This is the movements of the sun. So before we had the technology of the clock and the calendar, we have to truly remember and understand that this is our clock, this is our calendar. We did not have technology to be able to share this information We didn't have technology that would just say, hey, we're in spring, we're in autumn, we're in summer, we're halfway through winter. Okay? We didn't have that information. We had to actually physically watch the sun, the movement of the sun itself. So the calendar and the clock are both representations of the sun. Okay? The clock 100% is following the sun. The calendar is following the sun. The 12 months of the year, the 12 signs of the zodiac. So, the clock and the calendar are both, let me come back here for a second. They're independently wonderful tools, and without astrology, without paying attention to the sun, we might not really understand the roots of how we got the clock or how we got the calendar. Okay. We might not understand that because we're so reliant on, I can just grab my phone at any time and say, oh, it's 1:45. And it's December 25th because my phone tells me. I don't have to watch the sun and see where it is every day and pay attention to what constellation is. Our generation, our era, our age of existence is the furthest away from the sun, okay? Each one of these, not only is this a single month, but this is a great calendar. This whole thing is a very complex, huge system, okay? Not only is this a single month and a single year, but then there's the ages, which each age, each sign of the zodiac, there's about a 2,150-year age or era, okay? So our age, we're leaving the age of Pisces, entering the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is about technology and information. Across the way here, remember, everything is its equal and opposite. Across the way here is Leo, which Leo represents what? The sun. So our generation is the furthest from the sun, meaning we are the furthest from being grounded here on planet Earth because we're being inducted into the technological era. Okay, so we no longer have to pay attention to where the sun is in the zodiac when we simply have a clock and a calendar. And we can believe and we can trust, is what Pisces deals with, is we can believe and we can trust that the clock and the calendar are accurate and accurately based off of the sun's journey around the zodiac. So, we talked about the clock and the calendar. What does this represent? What does Jesus represent? Jesus is born today, right? Jesus, who is the light of the world. Jesus, the one and only Son of God. The Son. Why are all these images with Jesus and a sun behind his head? Because Jesus is not a real person that ever walked this planet. I mean, sure, there was probably somebody named Jesus. There still is people named Jesus, right? Jesus, the person in the Bible itself, is a personified allegory of the sun. Let me pull something up here. Let me type it in. I didn't have this one pulled up, guys. All right, here we go. I think this is it. Okay, in the Bible, Jesus is described as sitting at the right hand of God and coming on the clouds of heaven. Okay, there's a lot of talk about, right, and coming on the clouds. Jesus is the light of the world. All right, friends. Now, what's going on here? Let me show you one sec. Let me come back. We're leaving the age of belief, the dark ages of belief, where you have to. This Pisces is about belief. It's about belief. It's about compassion, about empathy. You gotta believe we're gonna make it through this next era. We gotta believe we're gonna find compassion. We gotta believe. We do have to believe. This is our right brain. Virgo is our left brain. All right. So we're coming out of a place of belief and into the age of technology. Now, if we lose that the clock and the calendar are a representation of the sun, What do you think the age of belief did about the sun? We believe the story and we forgot the roots of it. We believe the clock and calendar, but we forgot the astrology. We believe the clock and calendar, but we forgot that it's about a real story, about a real physical sun, the one and only sun that lights our world, whose reflection walks on water. And Jesus says, see with one eye, right? Even the Apostle Paul says, this is a book of allegories. This is a book of allegories. What does that mean? These are stories. These are stories to tell stories. These are mother gooseries. This is the book of mother gooseries. Mother gooseries are stories to be told that are going to inspire a moral and ethical code, and for us to conduct ourselves in a compassionate, empathetic manner. We're no longer in the age of barbarianism. Okay, so let's just look at the ages for a second. Age of Leo, this is most likely when the Sphinx was built, the Great Sphinx. Age of Cancer, this has got to be during some sort of flooding. We can see erosion on the legs of the Sphinx. It's about 10,000 years old. The Sphinx itself is about 12,000 years old, which lines up. So 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, us. Okay. All right, so the age of Cancer is most likely the flood. The age of some sort of flooding anyway, right? It's not Noah's Ark, and when we look at Noah's Ark, we can kind of look at that as, I'll get into that a different day. Anyway, when we look at Gemini, this is definitely the age of the Sumerians. If we go back, some 6,000 years ago. Okay, age of Sumerians, Babylonians. After that, we have the age of Taurus. Moses came down with the stone tablets and killed everyone who was worshiping the golden calf. Moses and the Jews represented Aries, which is the ram's horn. Okay, they switched from Canaanites to Judaism. Okay, and we went from the many gods, the many Els during this age of Taurus. Okay, this is like the monoliths, like these great monoliths that were being created here on planet Earth, the huge pyramids, the pyramids all over the planet, okay, these great monoliths. And we had all these different gods that represent all the different contrasts: a god of love, a god of war, a god of fury, a god of compassion, a god of fertility, a god of the sun, a god of the moon, a god of the rain, a god of the snow. And my God is more powerful than your God because that's the God that I believe in. And there's no bias there, right? Of course not. So in the age of Taurus, there was the many gods, the many Els. El-Yahim, El-Yan, Elway, blah, 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 blah. El means God. My middle name is Michael, he who is like God. Mike El. So anything El is like God. All right. I don't believe that it's just a name, but I mean, that's what it derived from when we break down language. So the many gods or the many Els, the many contrast, when it came to the age of Aries, the Abba Ram, Father Ram, and said we have to unify. We can't keep killing each other and fighting over whose God. We're unified, one God. One God. But at the same time, in order to get to that one God, you still had to make a blood sacrifice. You had to still slaughter a lamb, slaughter a goat, slaughter a ram. Abba Ram, Father Ram. Had to slaughter something, make a blood sacrifice, or even a human being in order to get closer to God. Okay, it's not good. That's not acceptable. And here in the age of belief, in the age of Pisces, when Constantine and those great individuals created this age of Pisces, which we're creating the age of Aquarius right now, we had to understand that this blood sacrifice was no longer needed. So we created a story to save you and me and your children and my children and your parents so that they weren't sacrificed for a blood sacrifice in this stupid age of Aries. Not stupid age of Aries, I regret saying it immediately, but like in the age where we created blood sacrifices, right? So in the age of belief here, we have to believe that God killed his only son for us to survive. Now, there's a bit of truth to that to a degree. Now, though Jesus is not a real person, though the story of Jesus is not a real person, we're going to continue to talk about that in a moment. The sun, this one and only ball of light right now, which has been dead for 3 days, and that moving, okay? The moving around the solstice points, the northern and southern points of the hemisphere. When the sun dies here on those 3 days, it rises back north again. We have to have faith and we have to have belief that it's rising back north. And if we believe this story that God killed his only son for us, which the sun will die, that sun that lights our world, that lights our planet, that all of our food grows, all of the food grows. If we didn't have the sun, would we exist? And are we so tuned into technology that we're ignoring a very real planet, very real earth, very real sun, very real circumstances that are happening in the cosmos, and we're ignoring the story, and we're only believing the clock, we're only believing the calendar, we're only believing the Bible, because in the age of belief, that's exactly what was necessary. We had to brainwash people. We had to get people out of the mentality of murdering one another. We had to push this story hard. And we did, and we succeeded. And now here we are 2,000 years later, and we're not making blood sacrifices anymore. Humanity, my friends, we've succeeded, okay? But now we're in a new paradigm. We're in a new pickle, if you will, where this story of belief, the story of Jesus, is a bit convoluted, where we've lost the sight of the real story. Now, in the Bible, this is how this story works. Jesus is born, the scapegoat of Israel, then goes and meets John the Baptist, then meets the two fisherman brothers. Then the sun passes over the equator into Aries, and Jesus learns about himself. Then Jesus becomes a carpenter. Then at the age of 30, the third house in the zodiac, Jesus becomes a teacher. And at the same time, 30 is when you have your Saturn return and you become an adult. Now, at 33, Jesus died, okay? You got 33 vertebrae in the spine. Christ means anointed with oil. If you meditate, we have the sacred oil at our sacral, or the base of our spine. And through meditation, through breath work, pranayama, any of these things, we're raising that sacred oil up 33 vertebrae. And right here, we're anointing our crown, anointing our head, our pineal gland, our third eye. This is Christ consciousness. This is Buddha head. This is God head. Okay? This can be achieved through meditation. This can be achieved through breath work, through meditation, through lifelong practices. It can be achieved in a ripped open kind of way through certain psychedelics. You can kind of have a certain experience where your crown is really ripped open, and your pineal gland is really anointed with that oil. And if you've ever done Kundalini yoga, something like that, a lot of people understand, like, wow, there's with moving this breath and bringing this energy up, you can have some seriously wild experiences. We'll just leave it there. You can have some very wild experiences when doing this. And our ancients and our ancestors understood this. All right. So let me come back here for a second. Okay. So at the age of 33 vertebrae, Christ dies. Okay, now he's a full-grown adult. Christ dies, or excuse me, but there's judgment. Okay, so at 30, there's judgment, or not judgment here. This is where he's teaching, and now he's being seen, and this is where the sun, just as we see in the video, starts to descend down. Okay, the sun descends down. Now Jesus is between Cancer and Leo. This is trapped in the heat of the desert and walking for 40 days. Between Virgo and Libra, this is the judgment. Okay, the judgment of Jesus. And this is like Athena and the hands, the scale hands of Libra. This is the judgment, the whole time of judgment. Then the kiss of Judah. And I've talked about this stuff before on the channel, but this is a little bit more in depth and slightly different. The kiss of Judah, if you look at a scorpion's sting, it looks like a pair of lips. You know, if you get stung by a bee, it looks like a bee sting, or a mosquito. It just looks like a little bump, like a pimple. But if you get stung by a scorpion, it literally looks like a pair of lips. So the kiss of Judah is when the sun reaches Scorpio. Okay, then Pontius Pilate means comes from high water, armed with spear. Remember, this is all reversed and upside down and backwards. So Scorpio is actually above. It's higher water than Sagittarius. It's going down, 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 until the sun hits its lowest point on December 21st. It reaches its lowest point, and then 22nd, 23rd, 24th, it doesn't go further south. It doesn't go further north until the 25th, today. 4 degrees of Capricorn, the sun starts to move north again. So this story is so extremely important. And we created the Jesus story for multiple reasons. We created the Jesus story, one, to alleviate and remedy, create a solution for a very real problem, an epidemic of slaughtering lambs, goats, sheep, all kinds of livestock, and even other human beings. It's not a sustainable way to live, and it's a manipulative, crazy way to think that you have to get closer to your God or the creator of the universe who created you, that you have to kill something else. That's a really strange mentality, but that's what they believed during that time. So in this time, we tried very hard to push this different agenda and to manipulate people in a positive way and get them to stop doing that. So here we are in the age of Aquarius and technology, the age of information. Okay, just like Santa Claus, we know that that's not a real story, and it's Amanita muscaria mushrooms, and the shamans of the North Pole are coming down with these mushrooms, or they capture these red and white Santa Claus Amanita muscaria mushrooms and deliver them through the chimney tops, and you have to dry them in your stocking before you can eat them. And then reindeer eat these as well, and a reindeer with a red mushroom in its nose. That's your story of Rudolph. So we have these storytellings, and now we have this Jesus story, and we've lost sight of the actual story itself. We've just lost sight of the real sun, but we had to tell this story because we had, before technology, before we have the calendar, before we have the clock, before we had the phones, before we have our laptops and computers, and Times Square that's showing you exactly what time it is and what day it is every single day, we had to look at the sun. We have lost that. Humanity has lost paying attention to the sun, and it's arbitrary at this point. It's just something that comes up and down, up and down, and up and down, and up and down, and up and down. And we have people that believe the story of Jesus and are actually trying, and actually fight this story so hard that they're willing to battle and kill each other over it. That's absolutely insane. That's my opinion. Okay. So we have to remedy this in a way. We have to get ourselves beyond this. We have to come back to the original story. This original story is here of the sun. And we had to pass this information down to our children. And we told them the story and these little things. And this was a way to remember the zodiac. So when you look up at the sky and you're understanding Taurus the bull and Gemini twins and Cancer, and just like Hercules and his 12 legions, and he fought the big bull and the lion and the crab and all that stuff, and Joseph and his 12 brothers, and Jesus and his 12 disciples, just like I talked about in the video with Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper. It's from left to right, it's the astrology, right? From left to right, it's showing you the zodiac with the sun in the center of the 12 signs. So the information's out there, but we need to continue to spread it. We need to continue to tell this story. Because why? So if we lost technology, I mean, we're 7 days away from chaos. One light switch. We're 7 days away from chaos, if it even took that long. I remember the brownout, was it 2004, 2008, when like New York and Michigan lost power for 4 days, and it was chaos. Now, if we lost power, we would have no phones. Most of our clocks, unless you have an old wind-up clock, they wouldn't work. You wouldn't necessarily know what time it is. That's okay. You would follow the sun for that to a degree. But here in the wintertime in the Northern Hemisphere, like it gets dark at 5 o'clock. It's so dark. It's dark all day. You really have no idea what time it is. As far as what month it is, it's very difficult if we're not paying attention to the sun and its movement through the constellations to say what month it is. Why is this important? Why does the average American, why does the average person in the world, not even American, the average person in the world, the average farmer, why does this matter? How do you know when to plant crops? How do you know when to plant crops? Look, it's really nice now. So for the past couple of days in Detroit, where I live, it's been frigid. It's been down to single digits cold, as the sun reaches the southernmost part of the hemisphere. It's been extremely cold. Now, let's say next month in January, we're going to have a really nice day. We're going to have such a warm day, you might think, oh, it's spring is coming. Okay. Now let's look at this. We got 20 seeds. 20 seeds. Corn and squash and all the seeds that we've kept from autumn season. And we've kept through this winter, and we got these 20 seeds to plant in autumn or in the springtime. When do we plant these seeds? Do you just wait for a nice day outside? No. No, we can't do that. We can't just wait for a nice day to plant them. We have to pay attention to the sun and the sun's journey. Because if the sun is over here, let me do that. Month. Boop. All right, so here's the sun. No, it's not even halfway through Aquarius, which means it's not even halfway through winter, the winter months, but we're going to guarantee to have a nice day that it's so nice that I'm not going to need to wear my coat. You know what I'm talking about. We get them every year. Could you plant your seeds and expect growth for your family, for your tribe to survive? The answer is no. When can you plant those seeds? You have to wait until the sun passes over the equator. Now, Judaism, Passover, Christians, Easter, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Let's talk about it. Anybody want to talk with me about that? I'd be happy to. Anybody want to talk with me about any of this stuff? I'd be happy to set up a podcast, happy to set up anything to talk about any of this stuff. Okay? So Passover and Easter, it's the same thing. But because Judaism is the age of Aries and Christianity is the age of Pisces, they created little separations to not confuse. Okay? It's the arcing agreement of the zodiac. This is the Ark of the Covenant. Sometimes the simplest answers are the most accurate answers. This, my friends, is the Ark of the Covenant. When the sun goes down and you see all the stars in the sky, that's the Holy Grail. Because without that grail, without that star clusters and seeing where is the sun rising and falling each day, we have no clue where we are at in time. We don't know where we are at in history unless we pay attention to what's above, the grail above us. Okay, and again, I've talked about this stuff before, and I'm just sharing it here on Christmas Day, because I think it's extremely important. And I found that cool video. It shows, at the beginning of the video. Why do I say this? I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I don't want to ruffle people's feathers. I don't want to make them upset and say, oh, you believe in Jesus and you shouldn't because it's not real story. And you believe, you know what I mean? It's like, no, I'm not doing that to hurt people's feelings. I'm not doing this to ruin Christmas. There's a lot of people that have fallen away from the faith. There's a lot of people that don't believe it anymore. And just like the story with Galileo, the Christian church has control. The churches, the religions themselves have control. We're in this age of information where, just like right now, we're connecting through technology. And I'm sitting in the comfort of my home, talking about astrology, talking about all this knowledge, because the knowledge is out there and available for us to understand. And it's important that we understand this information and this knowledge and share it with one another. Why? It's to alleviate our hearts. It's to alleviate our minds. You can't sin against the eyes of the Creator. I think that's if there was a sin, it would be saying that you can do something against the almighty being that created us. I'm not a Christian. I'm not Jewish. I have a bit more of a pantheistic approach conceptually of God, that God is everything, that you are a part of God, that God is experiencing itself through you. God is experiencing life through your eyes. God is experiencing life through my eyes. God's experiencing life through each other. God is experiencing. God is consciousness. God is in every single plant and animal, the earth, the cosmos itself. This is all a part of God. We're all a part of God. So there is no separation. So this in and of itself is a godly act. You just existing is a godly act. Now, they can get very confusing when we get into this person murdered that person or whatever, or you get into something like the Holocaust, and it's just like, these get really heavy and complex when we look, it's like there's this kind of, it does get complex. But this idea that God is separate, you're a part of it. We're all a part of it. And again, this information is there for those who have kind of fallen away, for those that no longer believe the story of Jesus. but don't have an answer. I'm happy to have done some research. I'm happy to have aligned, because I had a lot of questions as a kid growing up. I was raised in the church. And then when I kind of found ayahuasca and astrology at the same time together, and the more that I worked with them individually, the more that they profoundly show up in my life and continue to grow and show me and teach me. And I'm very happy to be able, because to me, it was like, this was the most, it was so, I felt so lied to when I found out some of this information. I felt lied to by my parents. I felt lied to by my pastors, by other individuals. And we have Protestants against Catholics and Jews against whatever. Like, I mean, I don't know if anybody's against, but it's like at the same time, like there's these little bit of differences and combativenesses between the religion. And it's just like, guys, it's all the same. It's all the same. We're worshiping the sun. This is sun worship. It's sun worship. Let's not lie about what it is. The one and only sun that lights the world, whose reflection walks on water, and without this one and only sun, most likely humanity would cease to exist. This was going to be like a short video, and I have no idea how long it is now, but I'm going to wrap it up there. And again, so this isn't to like upset people, to hurt people's feelings, but it's to share the information, to get it out there, to alleviate our minds, to alleviate some of the stress in our hearts if we're carrying it. If anybody has questions about any of this stuff, ask me. If you're appreciative of me putting this out, please give it the like and the comment. Like, that stuff really helps circulate. It really helps boost a small channel like this, and help get that information out there and share it with those who really need it. And I'm going to share this on my social medias, on Instagram, on Facebook, and of course my YouTube channel. Just my name, Aaron Eschenburg. So my friends, Merry Christmas. It's a wonderful day, the rebirth of the sun in the northern hemisphere. For my friends in the southern hemisphere, I'll see you in a couple of days. We're going to celebrate. All right, my friends, have a very, very Merry Christmas. And at the end of the day, it's all about just celebrating life. It's celebrating being alive, being thankful to have two eyes. Maybe you only got one, but simply being alive and existing. Maybe we've got friends to celebrate with. Maybe we've got family to celebrate with. Maybe we're going to just Netflix and chill this day by ourselves. However you choose to spend it. It's a day of celebration, the return of the sun. All right, my friends, I love you. I wish you enough. Merry Christmas.